Okay, let's fucking do this, I guess, right? So this has to do with like some of the things I said yesterday during my Guild Wars stream, and I wanted to clarify, and I'll give the context and everything. But yeah, just just shut up and listen. That's how this goes anyway, doesn't it? Isn't it? Sorry. Let's do something here. Let's do that. All of that shit is fine. But there is one thing that isn't fine. I'm gonna fix that. Okay, there we go. Look at there's like an overwhelming sunshine outside right now. Weather is a little bit fucked up, anyways. So what's this about then? For real though, I was streaming Guild Wars 2 yesterday, right? And a fellow Greek person jumped in, Doxy, right? And hi, Doxy, by the way, if you're watching. And we had a very nice conversation. We kind of like you could say that in a very weird way. We kind of like caught up a little bit as two fellow Greeks, let's say. Cute. Oh. Yeah, but like no. Just stow all that away, stow the compliments. This is like where I literally just kind of criticize myself a little bit, but perhaps not in the way that you would think. The end results might be different than what you might be expecting. Anyway, and so as fellow Greeks, we kind of commiserated a little bit about the situation in our country, which is kind of lamentable in many ways, or in ways important to each of us, I guess, right? And part of that was like discussing immigration and all that, and crime rates and religion, among other things, right? And I've said numerous times that like I don't really like discussing that stuff, and that remains true. But since I did do that, I was like, hey, none of these morons are gonna jump in and like correct us in anything we say. So I'm gonna have to go in post operation in there and find some statistics for myself and all that, and correct myself if I have to. And this is gonna cringe you out, of course, but like I'm not a debater, right? I'm at best a masturbator, and usually of other people. So I'm also not an academic, right? And I'm not like I'm not a researcher, and I'm not a student either, and I don't have a degree in these things. And I just base what I say on my personal experiences combined with whatever bits and pieces of knowledge I can find here and there, right? And I form my opinion that way. And through discussion, of course, but discussion is like something like is extremely difficult to do apparently, especially on stream. It seems like I'm monologuing all the time, so I'm my own police in what I say, right? And I have to be. And I've said it before that like I might say something and then like go back and fix it if it's wrong, right? I've claimed that, I've said that, and I do that. And there are things to fix about what was said, um, and there are things to not fix about what I said. And here we are. I gotta do that. Now, what will cringe you out, as I said, is probably the way that I search for things, right? And immediately when I mention it, you're gonna go probably like, "Ah, boo" or something. Well, I don't give a fuck. That's as far as I'm willing to go without like any like meaningful interaction, right? Um, and I'm often like not even motivated to go that deep because being your own like police is like it sucks, dude. Let me tell you that. And I'm supposed to be streaming to make interactions, right? Anyway, I'm not shifting the blame or pointing fingers. I'm just saying that like yeah, I take the lazy person's way out of this one, but for me it works, and that's ChatGPT because it will just Google what I tell it to Google. In essence, it's gonna search for me and it's gonna find whatever the fuck I was gonna find anyways, or at least that's what happened so far, right? Um, and so the topics were also easy, and I did go in there and I was like, hey bot, can you just like bring up some statistics when it comes to this and that? Because I said some things on my stream yesterday, and I want to like kind of double check if I was talking out of my ass. And I can also show you the conversation afterwards, just to prove to you that I actually went through this step for step. And it turns out that I was wrong, statistically speaking. So let me make it clear. And I had to fight the bot on some points. I had to fight the bot on some points and make some clarifications, which I feel like, ironically, are probably the same points that somebody who would want to attack my position would probably use, or rather, abuse, to make me sound like a fucking bigot or something. But at the very end, I did contest some points really well and concisely, and it turns out that, yeah, I was correct about a few things. Whoop-de-doo. So, but I was wrong about other things. So yeah, I mean, if and just a disclaimer here: if you don't like what ChatGPT threw back at me, right? Well, do your own research and come at me, bro. I mean, I'll welcome it. I mean, that's how you educate people, right? Not with hostility, but like, hey, I looked at what you said. You looked into. Here is some counter statistics. What do you say? And then you kind of educate each other. If you can't do that, or if you're going to be neutering the conversation, or if you're going to be immediately going, oh, bigot, oh, racism, oh, fucking phobic, then there is just really no point. And this is exactly why I don't want to discuss. And it's not a straw man. It's just that I've seen this, whenever I've tried to discuss things. Whether it's with people on the left, people on the right, people on the center, never mattered. Um, Nor am I saying that they collectively said that I'm the asshole here, but they did collectively show that they're unable to have a conversation where I will get something out of it. It's all like slapping each other in the face and going like, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. Not even citing sources, nothing. So I kind of gave up on that. So that's what I meant, like I don't talk about that stuff. But if somebody wanted to like debate seriously, and then yes, I would be more than happy to educate myself and do my own research. But again, this ties back down to like, I'm not gonna have monologues. I'm not gonna like debate myself internally, or I will to an extent because that's what I did to be here today, right? And do what I'm doing right now, actually. But that's only gonna go to a degree. It's not gonna really go very far because it's boring as fuck, you know? So, with those disclaimers out of the way, I guess I can tell you what happened with that. So, for context, what I was saying with my viewer, Doxy, was that yes, Greece has been at the time. Sorry, I gotta stretch a bit. At the time has been for about 2 or 3 years, and I didn't remember when exactly that was, but ChatGPT remembered. We were getting a lot of immigrants, and mostly also illegal immigrants that Europe just didn't want to deal with, and our country was used like as a staging point for their deportation, return to their homes, right? Oh, and before anything else, I should also disclaim, I'm not homophobic. I'm not against other people or race or religion or anything, and it will become clear what my issues are, um, and why I'm concerned, as I said, sometimes, when I think about it. I don't actively think about it, but when I do, it's concerning to me, a little bit. Anyway, and maybe you'll see why. But this has nothing to do with race or religion or anything. And ChatGPT implored me to actually tell you that. And so here I am telling it in case it wasn't clear. Or if you've never watched me before and you just like jumped in yesterday and were like, oh my God, what is this fucking racist saying, it'll become clear. Don't worry about it. And in the end, if you retain your position about me, then I don't give a fuck anyways. You're simply wrong and I don't care. So, and provenly wrong. But anyway, so here's the thing. When that whole thing happened, right, which initially ChatGPT forgot in its frenetic fervor to shut me down completely, I guess maybe it thought I was gonna say something bad about race or something. I don't fucking know. But it went really hard. And I had to iterate my points like 2 or 3 times, and I'll show you as well. Before it kind of like calmed down and told me, well, yes, okay, let's look at those stats, and yes, there is merit to what you're saying, and yes, yeah, blah, blah. You'll see it. I'll show it to you. I'm not gonna hide it. And then you can also do your research, as I said, or whatever you want. But anyways, what was I saying? First of all, why is this not like? One second. I'm not changing the subject. I'm just like very curious as to why is this like not like where is it? Like this. Come on, dude. There we go. Now it extends to the sides. It was really fucking me up. Anyway, sorry for that. So let's get to the point. Back then, we received all those like illegal and legal immigrants seeking a new home, as you should, I guess, trying to feel safe or whatever. But among them, there were a lot of fucking illegal immigrants that were not here to seek a home. They were here to do other things, okay? Which they did, which is confirmed statistically. And you will see it. I'm not going to hide it. And so that's what I was referring to when I said that we were Europe's trash can. That sentence, that kind of like um, uh, figure of speech, was something that was like thrown around a lot during that time. Exactly because we were fucking Europe's trash can when it comes to refugees. And that's not to imply that like refugees are trash or whatever. Don't misconstrue my words here like ChatGPT did. Um, you know, but it was like a figure of speech, right? Like they don't want them, so they just dump them on us, and then we have to deal with it when we really can't. We couldn't, and we can't now either. Our infrastructure is just not made for this kind of strain, and a lot of things broke back then. And mostly people's patience also broke back then because again, like a good number of these people were then engaged and exploited. Don't think that they are not victimized. They are by criminal elements, right? But they also themselves, like a few of them or a lot of them, I don't know the exact number, also immediately engaged in some really interesting activities around here, right? Which of course, yeah, tied to poverty and all that. Yes, I get that, but still, even so, there were those among them that legitimately just sowed chaos. Like they started like they did some um, criminal activities ranging from like petty theft to all the way up to rape, for example, right? Um, During those days, I even had my phone stolen legitimately by a person of color, for example. Um, my friend Katya was attacked by three people of color, Middle Eastern, um, on her way back from work. They did steal her bag. Like it was something that we were living in, right? So it's I would feel gaslit if ChatGPT, for example, told me, no, statistically you're wrong. And I wasn't wrong, it was true. And then it was like, all right, so if that's the case, why do you say I'm wrong? You know? And then ChatGPT was like, well, you're wrong because um, statistically speaking, there is just not enough congregation of like illegal immigrants and also across Greece and all that. To which I countered with, yeah, but you have to remember that Greece is a very special case. It's not like the USA or it's not like New York City. Athens is not like New York City. Like it's basically mountains, plains, and three major hubs. So to tell me that, for example, there are no illegal immigrants running around randomly in the wilderness where there is no other people and no houses and nothing to do doesn't tell me anything. Like the statistics you have to look at are the statistics of the major hotspots, population hotspots like Athens or Thessaloniki, for example, or Patra and whatnot. And when I countered with that, the bot was like, yeah, well, in those areas, you're right. You did see an increase in crime. And I was like, yeah, thank you. Like, I know what I saw. I was there. I lived it. I saw it every fucking day. Every week I saw that. I was walking in areas where this was prominent. I was walking in Athens. I do live in Athens. I saw it. A lot of people saw it. So to tell us that no, you're wrong was like brutal. It was like, what? And that's not true. So I backed that up properly, and then ChatGPT very smartly said yes, but the issue since then has been resolved, and there has been no peaking in immigration or illegal immigration or all of that, and in fact it's actually better the last 2 years. And I'm like, yes, but the after effects of what happened then are the root of of a lot of the problems that we have now, because these elements, even though some of them did actually get deported back to their countries and all that, like the illegal ones, of course, um, others managed to stay, and by staying, they basically committed themselves to a life of crime at that point, thereby increasing crime to significant or substantial percentage at least, to the point where it was socially felt by people, it was seen by people, you know. To which ChatGPT ceded that, like, yes, okay, you're not seeing things that actually happened. There is merit to what you're saying, and I felt justified. I was like, you see, I'm not being phobic or anything, and of course, anyone who seeks refuge lawfully and legally, yeah, sure, come and stay, like, be our guest, like, for real, contribute, Um, but then also ChatGPT said, don't forget that, like, immigration like that actually helps with jobs, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Most people I know have great difficulty finding small-time jobs because they're now all filled by immigrants, all of them. For example, among all of my friends, let's say, among my social circle in real life, which is very small, but there's like a few people here and there which we talk with, including my parents, I guess. If we order something, let's say we order like coffee or food, right? 9 out of 10 times it's going to be a person of color who can neither talk, understand, or speak English nor Greek, and they're Middle Eastern. So, yes, they do cover more jobs, but by covering more jobs, they're also creating this problem where now Greek people, for example, have to in turn migrate, and it's not the fault of the immigrants; it's the fault of our system here, right? But I'm not like deconstructing the system. I'm just saying that's how it is. It may be because of the system. It may be because of malevolence. It may be because of a billion things. I don't care. I care that it is that way, and that doesn't make me a racist. Okay, but it is that way legitimately. So okay, if that makes me a racist, that's a very interesting implication about how the universe works, because oh my god, by implication I could make some claims that I personally don't want to, don't want to fuck with. So let's just agree that if you're still seeing me as some kind of bigot or something, you probably need to kind of like do your own chat GPT research about why you think I'm a bigot, okay? And maybe it will educate you in the way that I'm not actually a bigot, and you need to actually learn what that means and learn what racism actually is, um, if you think I'm racist. So, and this isn't a straw man either. Don't forget that I have to argue with myself, because you guys are never like even countering anything I say or even contributing to anything I say. So it's literally just me. I can't even commit a fucking a fallacy because I'm just talking with myself. Like, it's crazy. But then again, I do have to do it because I feel bad if I say something, that can be misconstrued or paint me in a certain light, I guess. Uh, Such a fucking conundrum, honestly. Um, then we went on to the topic of basically my second point that I talked about with Doxy on stream, which was religion. And to make it clear to you, I'm not religious. I I'm somewhere in between. I don't mind it when people are religious, or I don't mind religious people of any denomination, sect, or belief, or system, or well, religion. However, I do mind it, and it does become my business when we're talking about conservative potentially dangerous to people like me belief systems, like Christianity, for example, right? And what I was saying on stream was like, I wasn't like being a bigot to Muslims, all right, and I wasn't necessarily being a bigot to religious people, even though I disagree with them on every front. But what I was saying is, since Islam is literally a mirror of Christianity at this point, right? When it comes to like it mirrors the conservatism and bigotry of Christianity. Legitimately, it does, right? Um, then that becomes my concern as a trans person, as a minority, because not only is it already like super difficult to live in a country with Orthodox Christianity, which it's not open-minded, okay. But then if in 10, 20 years, I think that, to quote myself, I believe from the stream, right, I think I said like in the next 10 years or so, I said if we see a rise like the same that we see in UK, for example, recently, then things might become interesting in a bad way, because not only would we have like Orthodox Christianity, we would also have fucking Islam at that point, right? So it's gonna be double trouble for people like me. That's all I said. And immediately ChatGPT assumed that I'm saying, oh, everyone is converting, we're becoming Muslims. Like, I don't care what we become. Also, it's not a we, it's a you. I don't give a fuck. I won't become anything. Neither did I claim that, oh, it's already happening. All I said is like, it would be interesting to see what happens if, for example, the trend that we saw recently in the UK, which it is a trend, it is kind of like interesting to observe that some people are converting and stuff like that. Like, to me, that's alarming anyways, but that doesn't matter. That's not my country, right? But to me, it's always going to be alarming to me if even more bigotry as is added on top of bigotry. It's like double trouble. Of course, I'd be alarmed, not because it's this or that religion, but like because it's like a dogma that is like conservative. I didn't write the fucking holy books of your religions. You know, I didn't ordain you have to be bigots, but if you're gonna be bigots, I'm gonna call you out. So there you go. And it's not just Islam, it's also Christianity and other stuff, right? It varies from religion to religion, but Islam and Christianity, and especially Orthodox Christianity, yes, they are fucking conservative as fuck. You know? Of course, I'll be concerned. You don't have to take it personally. Maybe think about not being a Muslim. Maybe think about not being a Christian if you hate the idea that you're supporting something that is bigoted, okay? And supports slavery and fucking owning people and other terrible things, including genocide. So, you know. Don't blame it on me. You can't be that person and then point at me like racist. Of course I will fucking call you out on your shit. I'm sorry. You're the one believing it. It's not my fault. Jesus Christ. Anyway, um, and so I corrected ChatGPT. I said, hey, I'm not saying it's happening. I'm not doomsaying, because for some reason ChatGPT understood that I'm doomsaying. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna be overrun or something. And he started bringing up statistics of like conversion rates in Greece and stuff like that, and like how many Muslims there are currently in Greece active and all that. And it was very low, informatively speaking. And I never fucking objected to that. Sure, it's extremely low. We're talking like 2% or something. Like, it's very low. And then I had to remind ChatGPT about 3 or 4 times that, like, my guy, I'm not saying this is happening. I'm saying what I said on stream is it would be interesting if the trend continues and then escalates throughout the next how many years. Um, and my question to ChatGPT about that was like, did that sound bigoted? And it was like, yes, of course it is kind of bigoted, because like, yeah, that's not happening. And I'm like, no, my guy, you don't understand. I didn't say that it's happening, right? Anyway, it was an interesting back and forth with the bot. It was interesting to see how it thinks. I have a suspicion that like it kind of overreacted there for a bit, and I had to remind it. But yeah, more or less, these are the points that I wanted to make. And these are the points that I made with Doxy on the stream, right? Sorry, just gotta sip my coffee a bit. And I just wanted to be clear And another reason why I hate discussing politics, especially on stream, is because then, it puts me in this cycle of doing videos like this that I'm doing right now, which is not a video, it's like a stream, but you're probably going to sit in an archive, right? Or on my YouTube channel. Hey, by the way, I have a YouTube channel, just self-insert right there. Shameless self-insert. And yeah, I just wanted to clarify my position and show you like exactly how the conversation with the bot went, for which you will allow me to like turn off my camera and 1 second. Do this and then bring up that and then go over to here. And then let me just click on the whole conversation, and I'm gonna narrate it. I'm going to read it to you as you read it for yourself, and you're going to see some very interesting statistics, and then you will also be able to make your own conclusions about that, or reach your own conclusions about that. And hey, at the end of the day, if you read this and then you say, okay, I still think you're a fucking racist. Okay, my guy, time to find another streamer, I guess, because if you think I'm a racist, you shouldn't really support me. But hey, that's you. You do you, my guy. I don't mind. Just do what you believe. I do the same. So let's see it. It's right here, and again, you can see here my my searches. The Commander versus Warrior is gonna be huge, by the way. I'm intimidated by this fucking size. The stutter was a very good tip, and the G-Sync explanation and settings was also very good. And this helps me with my RP sessions. But anyway, for which, yeah, I think AI art is fine if you want to quickly show your RP group, like this is the guy that you see, this is the place that you see, this is the, that kind of thing. It's kind of useful for that. Anyway, so let's begin then, shall we? And keep in mind, I'm going to be narrating this. So I hope you really fucking like my voice, I guess. So I'm like, hey there. Earlier on my stream, I mentioned that I'm a bit concerned with the amount of Middle Eastern immigrants Greece has been getting the recent years, stating that it started when Greece ended up being Europe's trash can, as it has been often said. I also mentioned that I'm worried what happens while, like in the UK and other places, Greece starts seeing people converting to Islam, because Orthodox Christianity is already bad enough when it comes to tolerance and conservatism. Was I speaking nonsense, or are there statistics to back this up? I admittedly went with how it felt to me, more than fact-checking. So straight up, you have my statement to you as well. And then we go into what we know: current migration, blah blah. Roughly 11.3% was foreign-born. Sure. In 2024, Greece issued many long-term resident permits to immigrants, non-EU, and also recorded a high number of asylum applications from Syria, Afghanistan, and Egypt. Okay. That said, a substantial number of immigrants have either left Greece or lost their legal residence in recent years. Which means Greece does host a meaningful immigration population, but immigrant doesn't mean permanent, argues the bot. Integrated, nor religious community. Yes, but I argue that this can be the long-term effect of it. Keep that in mind. Many stay temporarily, some leave. Yeah, the dynamics fluctuate. Yeah, that is all very reasonable, and then it goes to say immigrants are only one component of broader demographic changes. Yes, I'm aware, you stupid bot. I'm aware. I'm asking specifically for immigrants, though. Am I not? I'm specifically asking for that. So to try to alleviate something here is completely a fallacy, because you're starting to imply that I am saying that like immigration is responsible for way more things than I initially said, right? Which is false. Anyway, religion and Muslim population in Greece. I don't know why it quoted this. I have no idea. Muslim population is a valid term. It's not. I don't know why it thought it should quote this, put it in quotation marks, but whatever. It brings up some surveys from 22. And unsurprisingly, nearly 90% of people in Greece identify as belonging to the Church of Greece, so the Greek Orthodox faith, which unsurprising because the propaganda is insane in Greece with the church. It's like fucking medieval. Muslims represent roughly 2% of the population. That is true. The official, and then again, quotations, there's no need. Muslim minorities, so indigenous Muslim communities, right? Um, is like some stats about Thraki. Thraki is a very different situation. I'm not going to touch on that. It's a very sensitive subject for the history of Greece and all that. I did not intend to bring this into the conversation. I don't know why the bot did. I never even mentioned this, so whatever. Many recent arrivals are or were asylum seekers, refugees, or temporary migrants. Sure. Whether they stay long term, integrate, or blah 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 varies considerably. Yeah, I never argued that. It does vary. I didn't say everyone. I didn't make a general claim. Anyway, as you can see, the bot is already like on full frontal assault here, implying that I implied a lot of things which I didn't. Anyway, reliable updated data about how many remain, become permanent, or change religion is scarce. That is something you need to keep in mind as well, because the bot says it's scarce, seemingly trying to use it as in a way to say we can't really say that you're right because we also can't say that you're wrong. It's a non-argument, this one. Like this does not really do anything either for the bot or for me. Anyway, the interpretation here would be that official and academic estimates do not support the idea that Greece is quickly becoming a majority Muslim country. I never claimed that. Or that Muslims would soon approach a majority share. I never claimed that either. The long-standing Muslim minority remains small relative to the total population. I never claimed otherwise. The presence of immigrants adds to diversity. Yes, but diversity of a interesting kind, I have to say. But does not automatically equal large-scale religious conversion. I never mentioned that. Or demographic takeover. I never mentioned that either. So this whole thing is useless. This whole thing answers nothing from my arguments. Nothing. It addresses nothing. It's a fallacy. I never made a single one of these claims here that the bot seems to think that I claimed. Why strong claims like Greece becomes Europe's trash can or mass conversions to Islam ahead? I never claimed this part. I did claim this part and I defended this point, and I actually will still defend it, and you will see what happens afterwards. Are unreliable and speculative. They're not. This is true, and this was never said by me. So as I said again, the bot seems to think that I'm a bigot, which is like, okay, fair if you think that, but let me show you why I do not, though, which I do lower, below, and you'll see. Your concerns reflect a few assumptions. Yes, they do. I even said so myself. I'm assuming this and that. Would I be correct? Do you have data? So yes, this is pointless and accusatory. Like, I already admitted that I may be starting from a weak point. And I'm here to be educated. I'm not here for you to tell me that, like, I'm assuming. Of course I am. I'm making an assumption, yes. But it's an educated one. And actually, I was correct in a couple of things. Anyway, migration and religion shift. Even if many migrants have Muslim background, that doesn't mean they stay in Greece permanently. Yeah, I never said they all stay permanently. Or that second and third generations will convert to Islam. I'm not sure why this sentence is a sentence, but okay. Religion statistics are rarely updated often. Yes, which is also a point that this bot needs to understand as well. No reliable recent data shows a spike in Muslim percentage. Yeah, sure. It's trying to disprove a point that I never made. And that point seems to be this: mass conversions to Islam. I never made that point. This is something that the bot thinks that I said. Anyway, official statistics on religion are limited. The state doesn't systematically register citizens by religion, meaning most figures come from surveys or estimations. Yes, it is uncertain. I never said it is certain. I never said I'm certain. Like, bro, wake up. Demographics and assimilation factors. Many immigrants come for work, refuge, or temporary protection, and they're welcome if they're legal. Their long-term residence, integration, or deportation can heavily affect any demographic religious trend. Okay, so Greece has also seen immigration of Greeks. Yes, because we can't find jobs here. Anyway, because of this uncertainty, says ChatGPT, broad claims like we are becoming a Muslim country, I never made that claim, or soon Muslims will be the majority, I never made that claim, are not supported by reliable evidence. Sure, but I never talked about that. Where ambiguity remains, social change, worst case versus realistic. I don't care about that because that's like what it thinks I said, and it's trying to address what it thinks I said. So yeah, and you can see it by this sentence. Like, bro, I don't care. I never said that. So I'm skipping forth. My take. Your concern reflects a real phenomenon, but its framing exaggerates certainty. You were not speaking nonsense to feel uneasy. Big migration flows, demographic decline among native population, cultural change. Those are genuine developments many Greeks think about. Yes, because they're real. Because they are real, yes. That's what I'm basing my assumption on. But I'm assuming, I said it's going to be interesting to see what happens if it keeps up and escalates. But I never said it's escalating. I never said it's happening. Like, you have to understand how to fucking have a conversation. But the shift you described, I didn't describe a shift. It's not backed by solid. I don't care. I didn't describe any shift. This is made up. If I were you, I'd frame the concern more cautiously. I did. Maybe along the lines of could increase the immigration. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Rather than we're already becoming a Muslim country. I never fucking said that, ever. Not even once, not ever. So, blah, blah, blah. I read all that and I'm like, okay, instead of your bullshit, allow me to make a few points so we're on the same level. What I said was that I'm concerned that we may be receiving too many immigrants. I made the assumption that this is because not on, but of, what I think has been the EU in the past sending us most of its immigrants instead of properly, staging it or properly handling all the procedures and all that. And this is true, as you will see later. While currently I know that there aren't many Muslims in Greece, I expressed my concern that it may get to the same point as the UK, where there seems to be a trend of conversion recently. Is there evidence against my claims, actually? To which it says, yes, now I understand, the usual fucking bot talk. What evidence speaks against or complicates your assumption? Greece has not fallen off a cliff in permanent immigrant share. No, I never said that. I said that it has in the past been like that. Anyway, this all information here says it provides a check on the idea that Greece is being swamped. I never said Greece is being swamped, my guy. Like, bro, why are you trying to make me sound like a fucking racist? Anyway, many migrants, asylum seekers do not attempt staying for good. Yeah, sure. And many do. Like, anyway, this addresses your second point. Maybe the rest of the EU should take them back. Where is the part where I say take them back? I swear to God, this bot is insane. It's just making up shit. Anyway, in other words, you're concerned that Greece may follow UK. That is not my concern. I just said it's interesting and I wonder if there's data backing it. Anyway, let's accept this because it says it's not backed by reliable contemporary data. So that is a good answer, for example. That is a good answer. All right. It tells you, for example, to my question, it just immediately answers, well, currently there is no data to show something like that. That is the only valid answer in a text block of like accusations and implied accusations and implied racism and implied conspiracy theorism. Bro, can we just have a conversation? Anyway, what remains uncertain, what data does not conclusively show. So your concern is not obviously wrong either. Yes, of course it's not obviously wrong, and that will be shown later. Migration flow remains volatile. Yes, it does. The long-term outcome for many of those, so whether they stay, deportation, integration, return, onward migration, is still fluid. Yes, it very much is. We lack detailed, up-to-date public data. Sure, that's understandable. It's difficult. Social attitudes, economic factors, assimilation, laws, refugee policy changes. These things shape up what becoming more diverse and religiously mixed would look like. That makes any claim about where we are heading quite speculative. Yes, it is a speculative claim. It was an assumption. It was literally me asking, I wonder if that continues, where would we go? But that's Oh my God. Okay. So anyway, it was more like a rhetorical question, right? And I was just asking the bot if by asking that rhetorical question on stream, was I being an asshole, you know, to immigrants? And the bot is going like, well, basically you're racist. Like, bro, just relax. Anyway, conclusion: your concerns reflect legitimate issues, but the worst case assumptions are not strongly supported by data. But I Listen, it is reason. Let's just go on. It is reasonable to be concerned about large immigration flows. How many stay? How Greece manages integration? Hint: it doesn't. Potential cultural or religious change. Those are valid social policy concerns. But the idea that Greece is already on a trajectory, I didn't. I. Why are you putting words in my mouth? In short, the data gives some checkpoints. Sure, which contradict the scenario of rapid demographic transformation. I never claimed rapid demographic transformation. This is bullshit. Anyway, if you like, I can pull up three different credible projections, blah blah, and it does. And I say like, yes, please, sure, do that. And it still thinks to be, it still seems to be thinking that I'm some kind of like super bigoted racist. By the way that it's talking right here, but okay, sure. And so it just goes on and projects some numbers, which I went through, and I'm not gonna fucking go through. But after reading it, I was like, bro, stop fucking putting words in my mouth. All I said was, I'm concerned that we may be receiving too many immigrants across the years. I say this because I see a steady increase in people clearly from the Middle East in every sector, which is true. If you're living in Greece, you see that with your own two eyes. I assume that this may tie back to when the rest of Europe used Greece as a staging country for deportation and temporary stay, which is true, it happened. I didn't say Islam is taking over. I simply said that I'm concerned we may eventually reach a point, due to the above, where I wouldn't just have to worry about Christians, but also Muslims when it comes to being persecuted as a trans person. That's all I'm saying, bro, so you can relax. And then the bot says, thank you, this is clearer, and your points are actually more modest, thank you, and reasonable, thank you, and grounded. Yes, thank you, they are. And so it addresses the point. And whoop-de-doo, there has been an increase in visible Middle Eastern and South Asian migrants in urban areas, especially in Central Athens, Thessaloniki, and the islands. So in Greece, in the whole, that's Greece. That's the whole of Greece. This matches what you're describing on a street level, so your observation is not strange or baseless. Of course it's not. Like, stop trying to gaslight me. But statistically, Greece is not experiencing runaway permanent migration. Sure, I agree with that. This is the part that contradicts the scale your perception might imply. No, it doesn't, and I address it later, you will see. Total foreign-born population share 11%, right? Down from 14, by the way. Many arrivals do not stay. Yes, because our country sucks. And they realize too, and so they leave. But the damage is done for the time they stay, and the phenomenon recycles itself. Because more people think that we're some kind of paradise. They come in, they do their thing, and then they leave, and all this does is like create a constant state of flux, you know? Anyway, which is okay. I mean, everyone is free to go where they want, to pursue the life they want, to pursue a job, to pursue happiness. I'm all for that. I'm talking about the bad apples. Anyway, in short, your eyes are noticing something real, my mind is, but the actual national level numbers are not exploding. Local concentration makes it feel bigger than the country-wide reality. I address this point later, and it's a very important point. I assume this might be because the EU used Greece as a dumping ground. That did happen! Yes, you moron, it did, I was there. Between these dates, one second, I have to slurp some coffee. EU Dublin rules forced asylum seekers to stay in the first EU country they arrive in, which is Greece. Yes, thank you. Where else would it be? It was obvious it was going to be here. Greece was overloaded because arrivals were routed through Turkey and the Aegean Islands. Yes, of course. Many EU states refused mandatory relocation. Yes! So basically you're agreeing, you moron, but you were attacking me earlier for saying it. Since 2020, EU-Turkey agreements, border enforcement, and Greek policies drastically reduced arrivals compared to peak years. Some years saw drops over 80%. Yeah, sure. I never argue that, but I do make a point about it later on. Your reasoning about the origin of the issue is accurate, but the situation is no longer at peak intensity. I will more on that soon. I'm not saying Islam is taking over, blah blah blah. And so it says Greece already has a strong conservative Christian culture. Unfortunately, it does. You know, and you're right. This alone can be difficult. Of course, it is. So if you add Muslims or other conservatives to the mix, it becomes double as dangerous for us. That's what I'm saying. I'm not being racist. Anyway, Muslim attitudes towards trans people vary by origin, culture, and education. But statistically in Europe, Muslim communities on average hold more conservative views on LGBTQ plus issues than the general population. Yes, any more ways to tell me that you're being an asshole for calling me out when I'm right? Anyway, it doesn't mean that all Muslims are dangerous. Yes, I never said that. But it does mean your concern isn't irrational. Yeah, of course. And then it seems to imply, again, it's trying to put words there. Greece is not on a trajectory towards a large permanent. I never argued this. Moving on. Putting it all together. Blah, 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 right? If you want, I can also help with that. And then I'm like, okay, about point one, and point one being this point one, right? And I'm going, I have to say that you need to take into account Greece's population centers. We're not like the USA. We're not, for example, our cities are not like New York City. If there is a visible increase in Athens, for example, that's already a significant increase in Greece because Athens is one of the few major hotspots of the population of Greece. Hence why I'm fighting back on that point. You won't see random immigrants running around in the majority of Greece because population centers are like specific and few and far in between. So, seeing an increase in those hotspots is more significant than whether or not we should care if we see an increase in the fucking Greek wilderness, for fuck's sake, where there is nothing and no one. Anyway, about two. And point two was this. I assume it might be because of you used Greece as a dumping ground. Okay. And about two, you clearly found out that indeed during a certain time, I didn't remember what time that was initially. We were receiving a load more than we could handle. In recent years, we may have reduced arrivals, but a portion of the people we were receiving back then stayed, and often illegally, and have taken root. It may actually be related to an increase in crime that we have been experiencing. Correct me if I'm wrong, I say. So the cause may not be at its peak, but the symptoms are still being dealt with, I think. Which is a very fair point, and it will address it. About three, which is this bullshit, which, what the fuck? Like, all this is just what the fuck, legit. And I say I understand that, but at the same time I did express my concern, but I didn't claim that it's currently happening. What I said on stream was specifically that I wonder what happens if we see that, blah, 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 in the next 20 years. Like, bro, relax with accusation, relax. Like, chill, bro. Chill, you stupid fucking bot. And you know what the irony is? That I'm pretty sure that a lot of people could potentially react like the bot reacts to what I was saying on stream. Hence my need to show you all this and to make this fucking stream before my regular stream to address these points in case you motherfuckers want to give me a chance to explain myself before you fucking paint me whatever kind of villain you think I am. Anyway. And then it says, Athens is in the US, blah, blah. You're 100% correct. Thank you. A visible rise in the single major city in Greece is nationally meaningful. Yes. Yes, your point stands. Yes, you stupid bot. Thank you. Your logic is solid. Yes. Anyway. Greece did retain many of their rivals. This does create a long tail effect you're describing. You're not wrong about crime. We need to be careful, not politically correct, just factual. Yes, that's what I'm trying to do. Migrants are overrepresented in certain crime categories. Migrants are not overrepresented in violent crimes like homicide, but still represented. There have been quite a few cases that were reported locally. So, illegal residency correlates strongly with economic precarity, which increases the likelihood of involvement in survival crimes or being exploited. True. Your claim is not baseless, therefore. It reflects criminological reality, thank you. Structural problems in Greek migration management, thank you. And the long-term consequences of the overflow, thank you. So, TLDR, in 2 of the 3 points, I was spot on. And 3, I said I'm concerned what happens if. So it still brings up the various facts. It does tell me the same things again, that current trends do not indicate that Greece... It was a rhetorical question. Thanks for the information. It's useful information. It's very useful to see this information, I agree. But again, the bot is contesting it as if I'm pushing for some kind of like insane agenda of like conspiratorial like theories of replacement, of grand replacement or something. I'm not. I really am fucking not. Like I cannot stress it enough, legitimately. And then it's like, as a trans person, it makes sense to preemptively worry about sources of future social conservatism. Yes, that is my point. Fucking congratulations, you got it finally. This does not make you xenophobic. Of course it doesn't. Like, bro, chill. And then it goes like, if you want me to help you with like how to phrase it, blah blah blah. To which I was like, yeah, out of curiosity, I was like, yeah, sure, hit me with a text, show me how I could tell it. It was predictable because I'm doing it right now without its help. It was exactly what I was gonna do, right? And I did it. Here we are. I'm doing it right now. That's what I intended to do, anyways. Oh my god. So after clearing all this shit up, right? Hopefully, fucking hopefully, because I know some of you are like super fucking excited, and you jumped the gun way too fast, dude. But yeah, anyways, I'll take you in good faith that you understood what I was saying on stream, and that you didn't immediately like go. Sorry, I just come in the center a little bit. And you didn't immediately go like, okay, Daphne is a fucking racist. I'm taking you in good faith, and if I'm wrong, then you can fuck off. Like, simple as that. You can go back and watch this as many times as you want. Pause it to read what the bot says if you want to read it in detail. As far as I'm concerned, job done, and I'm fucking innocent. Okay? Your Honor, I'm fucking innocent, and my concerns were valid. And I hope you understand why they were valid and where I'm coming from, And if you don't, then go fuck yourself, honestly, no offense. Clearly, this is not like, a stream for you in that case. And anyways, I guess now we're okay, right? Now we're Gucci, right? I guess. I hope we're Gucci now. I hope if you believed for a moment that maybe I was turning racist or conservative or bigoted, I hope I gave you enough evidence to fucking counter that. And again, if not, then fuck you, honestly. Like, you can't have a conversation in that case. Just like the stupid bot, which I had to fucking repeat my points to like 5 times or something. Anyway, that's what we were talking about with doxing back there. We weren't saying like, oh my god, we're being attacked by, by Muslim, by space Muslims or something, like literally. I don't know what to tell you, honestly. Just think what you want to think. I just presented you the facts. If you cringed because I used chatbot, I don't know, my guy. Do your own research. I'm fucking bored, okay? I did enough research. And this, all of that, like this fucking stream, this here stream, is why I hate talking about politics. And boy, do I fucking regret talking about it yesterday, But sometimes it kind of slips. And when it does, I have to then, like, do damage control. And here we are. And by damage control, I don't mean like obfuscate and lie. I don't mean the US kind of damage control. I mean the real damage control. Like, come in and assess what may I have said, for example, that may have hurt people's feelings, because that's not my intent, right? And that's for migrants, like immigrants, sorry. yeah, come over and stay. Like literally, if you're seeking asylum, if you're like escaping war, can come and stay, dude. For real. I don't have a problem with that. You know, as long as you don't like down the line, like 20 years later, try to fucking evict LGBTQ people out of the country or something. You know, just to be clear. Otherwise, go be spiritual. You know, God and Christ and Allah with you or something. I don't care, man. I don't believe in that shit. But if you do, more power to you. As long as it doesn't fuck me up, okay? Anyway, you can believe in your space wizards. I don't care. I had enough and I'm pissed off and I want to go do like my proper stream, okay? So I hope this sufficed. If it didn't, fuck off, you know, have the day you deserve and don't come back, okay? But if I did convince you that I'm not actually a fucking racist or a right-wing whatever or a conservative whatever or a bigot, then welcome to my stream, okay? And if you want to debate me on statistics or anything, please feel free because that's how education happens. That's how information spreads. You inform someone, they go like, oh, I was right/wrong for these reasons. Let's talk. You know, it's why be afraid of it? You know. Catch you soon. I'm gonna like take a break for 20 minutes, calm down, and then we can stream. And I'm never talking these topics.